Hello, hello, hello. This is Raven, and today we're going to be talking about a little horror movie, horror comedy, called Final Girl. It was released in 2015, but it looks like they shot it back in about 2012. It stars Abigail Breslin as Veronica and Wes Bentley as William. Now, Veronica is a special little child. She's being trained by William to be an assassin. Yeah, it's one of those movies. Anyway, I'm going to get into triggers like I normally do. There will be some spoilers, probably, as usual. But anyway, so this movie does feature sexual assault, as it doesn't happen on screen, really, but it's referenced a lot, and that can get pretty upsetting. There's also a little bit of, sort of quasi-pedophilia. Again, nothing actually, happens, but it's implied that Veronica is, underage, and she kind of has a thing for William, who's her trainer, but he does turn her down like a normal, responsible adult would. But there's a bit where she's, kissing some trucker or whatever. That doesn't go on for very long, but it's there, and it could make people uncomfortable. And of course, with a movie like this, there's going to be a lot of violence. The budget, I think, was pretty low, so they didn't get too spectacular, not terribly gory, but there are some instances, there's, well, we're getting into spoilers here, but, you kind of know what's going to happen with this. There's a bit with an axe. Again, not terribly bloody, but it's still kind of creepy. And there's also a bit with a hanging. Again, you don't really see a lot, but it's still kind of intense. In general, the second half-ish of the movie is pretty intense. What I liked, though, was Abigail Breslin as a teenage murder machine. That was just delightful. And I especially liked that even though she was clearly supposed to be, borderline superhuman, she still did take a lot of hits. She's a tiny little thing, and, other people have longer reach than she does, so she did take a lot of hits. She shrugs them off, pretty much, but, it felt like there was, a bit at stake there, you weren't quite sure, how she was going to get out of this one. Now, for what I am not sure about, what I didn't really like, we don't really find out William's motivation. We know that his wife and kid died sometime in the past, but we never really see, what he's planning. He just sort of is training this girl to be an assassin. We don't see who he works for. We don't know what he plans to do after the events of the movie. We just sort of have this one little chunk of story presented to us, and that can make it feel, at least to me, it made it feel a little bit incomplete. I would have liked to know a little more about what was going to happen after this, but as a self-contained story, it was still pretty good. Also, the villains were, just cartoonishly evil, but, it's that kind of movie. It was clearly playing off of, slasher movies, so it made sense for the villains to be like that. Now, I said the villains were cartoonishly evil, but everyone's acting in general it's very odd, very stilted. Feels like they're in a stage production that somehow became a movie without them noticing, but it kind of adds to the surreal, slightly off tone of the movie. I really like it. I do realize, though, that it's one of those your mileage may vary situations. You might find it really annoying, but it is what it is. Overall, I think it was pretty delightful. It was an hour and a half long. It was a great sit, very entertaining. Felt a little bit incomplete, like I said, with not knowing why this girl was getting trained, but I think people should check it out. It's fun. And seriously, Abigail Breslin as a little tiny murder machine. How awesome is that? Okay, guess that's it. So, I will be seeing you on the dark side of the moon.